You know that sound, folks. You betcha it's another Elkworks Noon Whistle. I'm Chris Trottier.
And I'm John Anzalone, and we're here with 2006 Elkhorn graduate, Dr. Brad Dober. Thanks for coming.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. All the way from Seattle, Washington, correct?
Yeah. I'm in the office in Redmond right now.
Nice. Well, glad to have you. And you're currently working for Amazon. You had told us when we talked before the show a little bit. And you've been doing all kinds of exciting things throughout your time from 2006 to 2023 here, since leaving Elkhorn, right?
Yeah. So I went to UW, go Badgers, for an undergrad in physics. Then I got recruited out to the University of Pennsylvania for a PhD in physics, worked on some really cool telescope projects in astrophysics, went to Antarctica, went to the South Pole to launch a project, ended up at a postdoc in Boulder, Colorado, doing camera work for space telescopes, and then eventually left and came to Amazon to build satellites for space internet.
Unbelievable. So I've been doing a little digging on you, Brad. I've been doing a little digging on your social media, and I see that I know you work hard, but it also looks like you play pretty hard too. You got some pretty amazing pictures there of you sailing and going different places.
Yeah. I actually got back from Telluride, Colorado, like yesterday. I was out there to run a trail race from Ouray to Telluride over a 13,000-foot mountain. So yeah, I try to have fun when I can. It helps when like a coworker is also at the race. You can kind of call it a team building activity.
Can you write that off on your taxes, like as a work-related experience?
I wish.
Right.
Not public.
IRS isn't listening, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your Elkhorn experiences way back when in the 2000s.
Yeah. It was great. The AP curriculum at EAHS is actually like pretty great. And when you get older, you start caring about school districts for some reason. So then you start looking at other schools and you're like, wow, Elkhorn's actually like punching above the belt for like the town. And yeah, so it really prepared me. I came into UW as like a sophomore with all the credits I racked up just going to high school. That's like, saves you like $25K extra year of college. So yeah, it was a great high school, really good, strong academics.
What was it like growing up in Elkhorn? Like, just what were some highlights, and talk about the small town experience and moving on to bigger and brighter things.
Well, so I love that I get to tell everyone I grew up on a farm because it just makes it a little more folksy,
Yeah.
You're an astrophysicist who grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
It's a little also cliche as a Wisconsinite.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was a dairy farm too. So yeah, dairy, corn, and soybeans. It's like the three most cliche things you can do at a farm in Wisconsin. But yeah, we were close to Lauderdale Lakes. So a lot of fishing for bluegills and stuff. Hanging out at the sandbar, just spending days on the lake. Super great.
Is that where you started messing around with sailing on a smaller level?
This guy, Mr. Nystall, posted on I think in like the classifieds of the Elkhorn paper saying, hey, if you've got young kids, I'll teach them how to sail. I need an extra hand on Sunday races on Lauderdale Lake. And so I would like hang out in the MC scow with him racing. And that's kind of how I got the bite for sailing. And I ended up, I took it to the next level at UW-Madison and ended up on the sailing team for 3 years racing competitively. So, yeah. And then still a big passion of mine. I own a J24. It's a race boat. Competed in a couple of pretty solid regattas all over the world, actually. So, yeah, sailing's been started in Lauderdale Lakes, and it just kept going from there.
How about that? Hey, you were also voted most likely to succeed, I saw in the 2006 yearbook.
Yeah, well, I keep trying. We'll see.
I think you're there. And who was your partner? There was you and someone else voted.
Yeah, Angie Brelenthien. She's doing great too. She's a professor out in Iowa State. we just actually talked a couple weeks ago, and we're just trying to catch up and see how comparing notes, see who's doing better. Soft road.
So speaking of most likely to succeed, how's your wife doing on the purchase of the house in Seattle right now?
I have no idea. I'm
how's that going over?
A media blackout. The offer was due 6 minutes ago, so hopefully it got in. If not, another year of apartment life for me.
Media blackout. Yeah, I hope Amazon isn't having any internet issues.
Not today. So our first 2 prototypes go up in a couple of weeks. They're down in the Cape, ready to go. They're going up on a ULA rocket. So fingers crossed there's not another hurricane to delay that. But it should be a really exciting time at this company. Yeah.
And how long you been with this company and Amazon?
I joined in January.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so I did like 6 months of back and forth between Denver while I kind of finished up life over there. And then, in June we moved out, Kara and I, and we've been here for the whole summer. Summer in Seattle is insanely cool.
Really?
It rained 3 times. People don't know that it's better weather than Denver in the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So
have you had some opportunity to enjoy the Pacific Northwest, Crater Lake, any of the Oregon, or just been work?
So a couple weeks ago I did the Mount Hood to Coast relay race. It's like a 200-mile relay. I think it's like the original. The Ragnars are all kind of based off of it. And so we hung out for the weekend in Manzanita, which is like right next to where the Goonies was filmed. So saw the Goonies house. It's just like beautiful. The Oregon coastline's insane. A couple weeks prior, we were on the Olympic Peninsula hanging out. And then for Labor Day, we went to Victoria in British Columbia. So we've really been trying to get out of the city and see things. It's pretty. It's super pretty here.
So what was January, February like in Seattle?
So that we call it the long dark. It's pretty bad. You go to work before the sun comes up, and you go home after the sun's gone down. And the nature of my work is I work in a windowless laboratory on actual hardware. So they're like, luckily I would go and get a coffee midday and at least see some sunlight. That's kind of how you stay sane. But it's not great. But it doesn't rain as like heavy as you think of Seattle. It's just like a light wetness at all times. I don't think I made it sound any better than it is.
No, yeah. I don't think they're putting that soundbite on the Seattle tourism guide.
Live in Seattle. It's just a light wetness.
It's a light wetness. Yeah.
Well, tell us your travels through your professional life after college. You've worked a few different places?
Yeah. So once I finished up my PhD at UPenn, I had a very good working relationship with a national lab out in Boulder, Colorado. They're kind of like the gold standard for camera development in the sub-millimeter and near infrared. So a really big powerhouse in research astronomy. And so they tendered me an offer for a postdoc, and I ended up staying with them for 6 years. Ended up in a adjacent CU faculty position and worked on the lab. We built all of the cameras and readout equipment for this project called the Simons Observatory. It's a fleet of telescopes in the Atacama Desert of Chile. We also built a bunch of cameras for a telescope down in Mexico called Toltec, and then a couple projects in Antarctica. And so, if you're gonna pick a research job, pick one that sends you to Antarctica for a couple of months for free. That's kind of like the push. Like, oh yeah, I think we might not pay you that well, but you will get to go to some cool spots.
Yeah. So tell. I mean, what was cool about Antarctica?
So I went for 3 months. I got there early November. I bailed out. Or early October, early November, and then I bailed out around New Year's. So I got to see a lot of cool stuff. It's like 24 hours of daylight when you're there. You're in the austral summer, So if you've ever wanted to experience like what daylight at noon is for 24 straight hours for 3 straight months, that's a different kind of life. Everyone down there is just to be like, everyone works on these projects. There's no like tourism in McMurdo. There's very little tourism at the South Pole. So it's all researchers. It's all people supporting the researchers. Everyone's there for a common goal. It's kind of like an adult summer camp in ways, because like the food's free.
For really smart people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like nerd summer camp, and it's a great time. The base in McMurdo is right next to Mount Erebus. It's a southernmost active volcano in the world. Then you look over the Ross Ice Shelf and you see the Royal Society's mountain range. Like, I think it's incredibly beautiful. And then you go to the South Pole and it's just flat white. Like, there is no mountains, there is nothing. You're just, as far as the eye can see, just snowfields. And that's because it's a kind of a different like level of desolation. And there's only maybe 45 to 90 people there. So, you're tight knit. The food's better though, because there's a greenhouse. And so they have fresh food. And it's just weird. People like winter over. I never did, but you end up getting locked down there with like 30 people for 9 months of pure darkness. Ooh. And the minute they lock the doors and the last plane takes off, they watch The Thing just to get prepped for what their life is about to become.
So you went from there, and then how did COVID impact your professional life? Like what did it look like?
COVID delayed a lot of our research projects. We were, it was probably for a good thing. We locked down the labs for most of lockdown. So, when the stay-at-home orders were in, no real work was getting done. And then we kind of soft opened things. So like only one person was allowed in the lab space at a time. And so things got really delayed. I was trying to work on a NASA project to build a new readout system, and all of the funding for that got delayed, and it ended up getting canceled. And I just decided while the delays were happening to look into industry options. And a former coworker at NIST went to Amazon for Project Kuiper, and he's like, hey, this is great. We still get to do like RF engineering. You're still using all the skills that you had in the research space, but now you're doing it for like a more tangible benefit to society. Like, we're trying to give high-speed internet to anywhere on the planet. You can be in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You can buy a Kuiper antenna on Prime, put it on your boat, and you can have like 100 gigabit Ethernet like at the fingertips. So, it really enables like a lot of people to have access to the internet.
Well, and when people say access to internet, it's access to information.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the most impressive thing, that people can start having full access in some remote locations that are completely isolated from the mainstream information cycle that we get on an endless loop. So, and
fast internet, not just internet.
Yeah.
We have 3 different size terminals or antennas, and they vary in cost and how much speed you need.
Is there an anticipated, and whether you can answer this or not, anticipated consumer launch date?
I know we have a date. I don't know it off my top of my head. I think it's in a year and a half for beta for North America, and then like 2 years will probably be full launch. But don't quote me on that.
No, we're good. Yeah,
I'm not the official spokesman for the project, so please don't quote me.
So when you were working on telescopes, did you ever work on anything for Yerkes back home here?
But I actually volunteered a lot there in high school. So I do like to say that like Yerkes was a good influence on my career path. Yerkes is a very interesting piece of astronomical history. Is the largest refracting telescope in the world. And it was built right about the time where everyone kind of switched to reflecting telescopes because you could build a larger collecting area. So it was like the last, maybe it was like the last gas car in the age of EVs. And so
that's super cool. All right. John wanted to know if you've ever seen anything extraterrestrial through the telescope. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Throw me
kidding.
under the bus there.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Hey, so we're getting the part. 15 minutes goes fast, and we know you're a busy guy, and we appreciate you being on here. But we always like to close with some shout outs and thank yous, or if you want to just send a message to somebody back home, you pick it. Brad, it's up to you. Go ahead.
Okay. Shout out Mr. Cleveland. AP
Boom.
history is a good time. It was a fun Survivor. I had to like do another sign for some kid who found me somehow for the UP US History Survivor. So I'm glad that's still going.
All right, sounds good. Johnny, who do you got, buddy?
I think I got to thank the chamber today. Our internet was spotty up at the school, so I had to hustle down to the chamber office here, and they held me up.
I'm going to thank all our local high schools. Today I had the opportunity to meet with some key personnel from throughout Walworth County, and it's just amazing on the power of collaboration and when you put your little personal traditions and issues aside on how much you can accomplish together. So thank you to all our local high schools and all the superintendents and principals who freed up their staff to meet this morning. And on that note, Brad, thanks for joining us. Good luck on Project Kuiper. And anything else for closing, John?
No, thank you, Brad. Appreciate it.
Yep. And we will be reaching out to the other 2006 most likely to succeed soon. So stay tuned. We'll have her on.
Okay.
Thank you, Brad. Hey, make sure, I hope you get the house. Best of luck to you. And we look forward to seeing Project Kuiper launch, and we'll remember you. So on that note, we got to pull the whistle because people got to go back to work. Have a great day, everybody.
Take care. Thanks.
Thanks.